All right, y'all, what's going on? Welcome to the Bookmap stream, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And we just had a little bit of another liquidity grab, which has been rampant this week. That's why everything after 11 is hands off. Hands off, because that crap is all over the place. We just had a nice little red, about 20 points, and then instant bottom wick back up, and it's been doing that all week. So all we're pretty much doing is repeating the price action every single day this week. Is we have a big sweep into the first hour, and then we pin tight with sweeps all over the liquidity grabs all over the place. And now we're having another red back down after getting everybody out here. 551 coming off, looking for 540. Apple is starting to take some profits here after a very, very bullish morning. They're finally starting to slide down. But unfortunately for the indexes, everything else is not really having a lot of pressure. So we'll see. My new rules, if you're on the Bookmap and haven't listened to the stream this week, is that my new rule is this month at least, is no trades after 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central Time. So guess we didn't miss too much. We got a hammer with a 12-inch. There you go. You had a little hammer candle there. So I won't be taking any trades this afternoon, but we'll be doing a little analysis here, looking at the market. We have liquidity here at 18,540, and we're going to try to figure out what's going to go on here with the indexes. Right now, Apple is definitely coming off. We have another little punch down there, seeing if we can come off. So far, this is a typical range day. Buy the dips, sell the rips, and that's what we're seeing right here. 547. But can it do anything except wick? That's the question. So far this week, we have popped and glued to the morning high the entire afternoon. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We have glued to a range for a significant period of time before finally moving. And will they do that again today? Tomorrow's non-farm payroll, so we could possibly see a little bit of chop into that event, at least until the overnight session. 547. What's up, Luke Slowwalker? How you doing, buddy? Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say now. 2355 CVD. ES still has on 5287. A little bit more red here. Apple's coming off. This is what I'm seeing now here. If we look on SPY, we have got the morning high, which is right here, the morning low, which is right here, and that's all we're doing is bounding off the ranges. If we're looking at NASDAQ, same exact thing. Morning high, morning low, and that red line is the imbalance from yesterday. So we're rejecting imbalances. Do people just sign on the stream just to sign off, like sign on, sign off, sign on? I hear that stupid notification. It's ridiculous. Anyway, we have the morning high, the morning low right here. And ES is doing the same thing. So nothing special. We just have a typical range day. Liquidity on Bookmap right now has an iceberg, a couple of small icebergs, sell-side icebergs that came along just here at 53.05, 53.10, but the big liquidity is skewed down to 52.87. Angry OM. The liquidity favor up. On ES, it favors downside, 52.87. And I will say this is following the same exact script as yesterday, is that they're building major GEX at short calls at 52.60 now. It was 52.50. They rolled it up to 60, and that's where they just rejected on SPX, somewhere in that ballpark. We actually got up to about 55, and now we're starting to rotate back down a little bit. Nothing crazy. But that same exact thing as yesterday, is this whole week. So I'm doing some research on a couple other names here. As we are getting into the chop session and the indexes just refuse to move, we've been stagnant for months and months and months now. I'm starting to look at some other opportunities here to possibly put on some swing trades, and I've got a name picked out that I think is going to be my first target here coming up. It's at a great point from a VP standpoint. It's got some activity brewing. And I'm going to look at that a little bit more closely before I start talking about it publicly. But we're going to be looking at that name right now. Apple 172 rejection. Nice. Yeah, it's a little resistance from the daily chart here. $52.87. We've got about 900 orders sitting at $52.88 that came on at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. So about an hour ago. Have you thought about swing Q puts? We are at the highs again. It's possible. Let me look at the daily. We're not quite there yet on NASDAQ, although we're getting close. QQQ, we are. We're not quite there yet as well for me to want to take the pattern. I'd probably say another dollar or two on Qs, and I'd be comfortable taking the pattern. I also did notice the hedge fund inflows to the tune of about $2.5 billion into the 10-year bond ETF, which is IEF. It's the highest allocation of any name on the market this week. So also preparing for rate cuts. I almost swung far out SPY puts, ended up closing them before it closed yesterday. Glad I did. There you go. Well, although I see your point definitely, but if you're doing swap far out swing puts, this one little green move shouldn't do much to your premiums. I think overall that's the play to go with, and I'm thinking about the same position myself. How far out were they? Yeah, a $3 move on SPY shouldn't affect puts if they're 2-3 months out. If they're 3 weeks out, yeah, they'll get crushed, but depends how far out you're thinking. $18,550. 3 weeks, that's about my position size. I'm going to play with those. Yep. My SPX puts are down 50%, and we're up 100 points from when I bought them. Yep. But yeah, but I'm sure they're far out there, aren't they? You said end of May, I think you said, or something like that? June? I remember they were far out. $53.04. Still chopping. This is the same exact thing. If you look at the price action, I mean, look at what we've been dealing with this week. Let's go back. Let's go back to what is this right here? Let's go to Tuesday. So here is the morning low right here, and then the morning high is right here. Call it right there. So we did it again yesterday. Actually, it's right here. There's the 8:30 candle right there. So on Tuesday, We had this shakeout, climb back up, and then we glued to the morning range for about 2 hours, and then finally moved right into power hour. Yesterday we did the same exact thing again. 9:30. Here's the morning high right here. Right here. Here's the morning low. We climbed. We glued to the morning range all day. We had this little shakeout, and then overall closed right here, right below it. So we couldn't break the morning high again. So again, we glued for about 2 hours and then finally moved right before power hour. We're doing the same crap again today. Came off, come back up. We're gluing to the morning high again. So far for about an hour already. Going on probably another hour. That's why I'm saying, like, this is not the time. Like, everyone keeps trying to short down, buy up. Normally, yeah, that would be the way to go, is to short the morning range and come back down. And yesterday, that would have worked well if you held for 2 hours. But you got to be a little patient. It's the same crap every single day. The same exact algorithm they're repeating every single day this week. That's the way to do it. Agnostic, sell the weeklies. In and out of a PDS. Every week. I like it. That's the way to do it. TLT is still giving back all of the gains it popped in pre-market. VIX is still down 1377. And once again, for about the 15th time the past 5 months, they're giving back all of the pop on the VIX. Pop and drop, pop and drop, pop and drop. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times since December. 10 times since December, the VIX has taken out 15, only to be immediately reversed. That's what it does. Pop the volatility, drop off. Pop the volatility, drop off. And it's keeping us pinned flat for months and months and months. It's terrible. Terrible. TLT should sell until this morning. Yep. And until we get a confident boost on rate cuts and the market fully grasps hold of cuts, I agree. I think the bonds will continue to slide. What's up, Ozzy? How you doing, buddy? Good afternoon, Vent. How you doing? What's up, Steven? Good afternoon. The pain bus is going to make an unscheduled stop for those vol sellers one of these days. Yeah, you buddy. You betcha. Short volatility works until it doesn't. And unfortunately, when it doesn't, it takes back everything you gained the past year. And that train is coming. Countries are banning unscheduled stops on buses. Made a bit of a mess today. Blew 2 accounts close to payout. Nevertheless, I managed to double my record and get... Oh, nice. Very cool event. Well done, buddy. It's awesome stuff. Let's see where the call buying is. The call buying has leveled out, which is what we saw again yesterday. We saw a big spike in call buying. We leveled out, and then call started to drip off. And what I'm going to be monitoring today is the increase in put buying and the increase in the call selling. If I could see both of those correlate, I'm going to look for a move. Other than that, though, we're going to kind of play flat. If we're looking at the GEX, let me see what's going on today. Strike 52.60. $52.60's backed off, back down to $52.50 on the GEX. But other than that, the only thing we've got going on Bookmap here is a very light liquidity, a very light order book. We've got 52.80 and 53.15. That's it on ES. NASDAQ, we have this little bit at 18,540. You see this guy at 500 continues to kind of come on and off. You see it right now flashing at us as the guy is manipulating that order. Not to mention 18,500 on NASDAQ has been the pivot on NASDAQ for a long freaking time. It's like they love 18,500. Keeps on coming right back to it. If I were to take a trade, which I'm not because my rules say no, but if I were, kind of like that book O.J. Simpson wrote, if I were to take a position, I would wait until anywhere between 2 to 2:30 Eastern, maybe even 3, somewhere in that hour is typically where we're making a move. NASDAQ could really use 100 to 2,000, 1,000 to 2,000 point dip. Yeah, buddy. Everything could use a big old dip at this point. Where we're facing a bit of an exhaustion up here. Biden spoke with Netanyahu for 30 minutes on the phone. Goolsby says if we stay restricted for too long, we will likely see employment begin to deteriorate. Thanks, John Madden. That's literally what J-Powell's been saying. You bunch of jabronis. When you increase the cost of money, the cost of business goes up. Small business bottom line reduces, and they have to start cutting overhead, like employment. I can do business. We have the pumper dumpers back on FinTwit, the ones that had the second case, SEC case. Are they back on? Oh my gosh. Steve Madden. Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's no telling how much money those dudes made. It's starting to annoy me as well. The in and out Discord have jumped in and out of the call. Yeah, it happens all the time. Got a little red coming on NASDAQ, just a touch. Unfortunate time slot for this current environment. Like I said, this is the time when the market has been chopping all week. So I don't anticipate all that much today, at least in this time. Not to mention, we're seeing a lot of up and downs here in a couple of different names of the index. Apple's coming down now where everything else is up. This morning it was the other way around. Nvidia is not moving. VIX is the only thing staying steady. You know, the VIX has been downtrending all day. That's it. The YM and the Russell's flat. XLF is flat. It's just a lot of nonsense. Not even anything worth trading. I certainly am not trading. I'm just picking out some good 80s music to listen to at this point. Is the VIX flattening at all? At the moment, it is a little bit for the past few minutes, but the trend today on the VIX has been very much down since open. Now that's pretty typical going into an event such as non-farm. Like they're going to reduce IV, and then into the event you'll see it spike again. But they're going to destroy implied volatility as much as they can to keep premiums flat and roll the options a bit. And then you'll start to see the premiums come back on into the event and through the event, of course. Now tomorrow is a bit of a tipping point because obviously next week we do have CPI, and FOMC minutes to date. Tomorrow we have non-farm payroll. So if we don't continue higher and we do reject today, tomorrow, that will pretty much start to deviate from the pattern we're seeing on the daily chart, and we could start putting in a new low there. That could be the breach that we're looking for to go lower. I do think we're in distribution. I do think it's going to be time soon to start rotating down, and I do think it's time to start putting on a possible swing downside position in the upcoming days/weeks. I want to renew my Nexus Pass in New York this morning. The border officer asked me what the purpose of your renewal. I'm going to see my family in the good kind of gabagoo in New Jersey. He started laughing. He knows what that gabagoo is. I'll give you a pass right away. Love it. Hey, Dan, do you have Spotify? You do? Sorry, look up this song. It's hilarious. All right. CVD is dropping just a touch, but there's not really that much to be looking at right now, honestly. It's just completely hands-off stuff. Wait for the afternoon break. First hour and last hour, that's it. 18,450s overall. Any kind of outlier moves, I don't see any. We have some at 750, that's been on there for a hot minute. And looking at the ES, this guy's been on there for a hot minute too. 5230 came on Sunday. Now, it was much larger on Monday, but it's still, 700 orders. So that's still on there. Eventually, that'll be filled. We don't know. But other than that, just waiting for about 2:30, 2:40 Eastern time. Somewhere in there. That's when we'll move. What am I listening to? It's hilarious. It's hilarious. You're welcome, MX. What's up? Days before non-farm, always like that. I was killing it for 2 weeks. That's okay, though. Just now you can identify it, man. This, unfortunately, this market is heavily liquidity driven by these catalysts. So we do have to play catalyst to catalyst, but you also have to understand that all they're doing is exploiting the highs and lows. And the market exploited the lows for non-farm payroll this time. Bounced it. We have this 300-point move on Nasdaq, and then tomorrow, typically non-farm payroll results in a reversal. So it's very possible that if we continue bullish today and into overnight, that we can see a big red move post and non-farm payroll. Where do you think the SPX target end of day will be? Do you think we'll touch R3? Honestly, I have no idea. Very possible that if we do break higher, that is going to be my upper target because that's where the next imbalance is. And I'm just going to imbalance and balance here, and that's where the next one is on SPY. So R3 SPX. All right, Nasdaq's got still kind of pressing here. That's a good trap to pump before pre-market trading. Then add this one to the mix. Spec Ops video in the background. I like it. Do we have any idea why gold has moved up while the markets have also moved up? Preparation. There's a lot of cross currents at the moment. The markets have kind of started to top out, stagnate here, buyer exhaustion at the top. We started to see some moves in the yields, which we haven't seen in a while. The problem is that the longer date yields are starting to come along as well, while the 2-year yields are not, which is going to have a little bit of separation there, which is not good. All that to say is all we're doing is preparing for the next rate cycle, which is going to be turning into rate cuts. Now, if you haven't been trading for more than 10 years or so, then you haven't seen an aggressive rate hike cycle transition into a rate cut cycle. That's the difference. So we're starting to see the market position for that. Not to mention you throw in the crap with Japan and the carry trade that is a very hot ticket item right now. So the financial markets are starting to, not to mention the real estate market. So the financial markets are starting to really prepare for this move. We are, like today, for example, we saw a little bit of kinks in the armor there that could lead to more aggressive rate cuts. That's the whole premise behind Jay Powell's speech, is unemployment. Unemployment needs to go up for us to start cutting rates. Gold is one of those items. Hedge against inflation, a little bit of protection trade. I personally myself don't really trade gold. I don't follow it too much, but it's one of those items in the financial markets. You're welcome. Any way of telling how the rate cuts will affect the financial sector, stocks like Sophie? Well, it's not about the rate cuts themselves, it's what the rate cuts mean. It's kind of like, when your girlfriend tells you it's not what you said, it's how you say it. That's like the rate cuts. Now, what needs to happen in order for the rate cuts to start to happen? And also, there's kind of two sides to that conversation. Because I don't want to think of rate cuts in terms of bullish or bearish or whatever. I want to think of rate cuts of what do they mean and what causes them. The first is what happens in order to get to rate cuts, and that is a softening market. Because right now we've been full steam ahead for 15 years. Like this bullishness did not start with coronavirus. The Fed funds rate has been at the lowest in history since 2008. They hiked again in 2018. They cut them again. They hiked them again after coronavirus to slow the economy down, and now we're pulling it back out again. So the spending has been off the hook since 2008. If you go back and look, after we started the rate cut cycle and then stopped it, the market tanked when we started cuts again, and then at the bottom of 2008 they cut 100 basis points, and then we finally bounced, and then we entered into this 15-year bull market. Well, now we're facing the most aggressive rate cut cycle in history, or rate hike cycle, in history, and now they're having to deal with that. So once employment starts to come off, when the economy starts to cool off, they can start talking about rate cuts. Now, to get to that point, they're going to have to start to see the financial products come off, because right now the cost of money, interest rates, are incredibly high, at least high for our environment, and you're starting to see that happening. In fact, we kind of talked about this yesterday. It's expected where 75% of CRE loans are going to default. What does that tell you? That tells you that the housing market's going to take a beating. The real estate market's going to take a beating. The banks are going to start to lose assets because at some point you have to realize, yes, and there is a point at which it is good for banks to have some foreclosures because they want they can capture those assets on hand and resell them, whichever cost of business. But when those foreclosures go too high, the banks aren't real estate agents. The banks are banks. They don't want assets on hand like that, especially repossessed assets. So there is going to be a point where the financial assets start to overcome, and the banks are going to start to fail, especially the small banks. So at that point, that's where you're going to see the rate cuts kick in. Jay Powell and his crew are going to, holy crap, this is too much. Cut 100 basis points. Cut 100 basis points, and then the market will bounce soon after that, but not after a significant downside. 52.99. Nice little red. Very slow red, but red. You're welcome. 52.50 is by far and large the short call strike on the GEX. Just piling into short calls at 52.50. Now the question after the rate cut cycle is what happens to the housing market, the real estate market, after they start cutting rates? Do we just go back to where it was and, full steam ahead, back to buying? 500 lot buy on ES, large trade alert. That's the variable I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen because I've never seen anything like what happened in 2021 and 2022. Never seen that. I've never seen home prices double in under a year. It's absolutely absurd. So I don't know what's going to happen after that. Demand here really hasn't come off that much. It's gone from, the only thing that's happened is prices on homes have gone down about 10%, and it's gone from selling in one day to taking about 30 to 45 days to sell. But demand has not come off here. So I don't really know what's going to happen. If that doesn't stop coming off, and then they start cutting rates again, back to business as usual. I don't know. That's what I'm curious about. Abraham, it's ridiculous. A shed can go for 100K. A shed. Gee Louise. $52.87. Oh man. Trudeau's created $600 billion deficit in 10 years, more than all prime ministers combined. We have 41 million people that live. From 3 years ago, 37 million. Yep. Yep. The world's gone into a crazy place the past couple of years. like Bookmap's taking off liquidity. Yeah, they are. It's pretty light stuff, but they did just shift off a lot here. They still have 52.87 on. But yeah. Today's Thursday. We have Fed Mester at 1400. That's the last real anything on the calendar. So that's in hour and it's about 30 minutes. Kashkari also. Yeah, Kashkari is typically hawkish. He's the one who said that they have no idea what they're doing. That would be honest, not hawkish. Touche. Touche, salesman. Touche. Well, terrible price action. TMF yields. Yields have flipped again. 10-year has come back to green after a dumperoni. 2 years green as well. Bonds are coming off again. So they're flipping it again. The yields are still coming back up and the bonds are still going down. The bonds have been on a strong downtrend since December. Have not been able to shake the downtrend. NASDAQ looks like a double top. A-firm right off of the morning high. But it's still very weak price action. Is the iceberg feature in Bookmap worth paying for? In my opinion, the iceberg indicator is the best indicator on Bookmap. It's the best one. I think it's very worth it. It's going to be a flash move when it happens. Yeah, buddy. So far on the 5-minute, we have, 7 or 8 red candles in a row, but they're very tight and small. Just creeping down ever so slowly. XLF, new low of the day, and getting smoked. So the bank sector's coming off, and it appears XLV is going to go red. ES should face a little bit of pressure from that. So ES is definitely retreating back down to low of the day. NASDAQ still has a ways to go. Oh, man. There's a little red. Ooh, look at that candle on Apple. Look at that on Apple. Starting to give a little bit back. NASDAQ is dipping down. 550, 527. Well, maybe we will. Look at Apple. Apple is still sliding, so a lot of selling on Apple here. Nothing else is moving like that, but Apple sure is. We'll see if we can continue the grind. Let's go to the 30-minute. 30-minute would look for about 509, 510 for support. Man, Apple's getting smoked now. Big sell. The other names have been tailing Apple, just lagging a little bit. Yeah. Well, I'm keeping a close eye on NVIDIA here now that Apple's doing this. This will be make or break time here. Rejecting the morning range beautifully. Yep, that's the last line of defense here. If NVIDIA rolls over here, I should expect NASDAQ to retrace to morning low with this action. This is starting to come in a little bit downside here. Not to mention we're coming up on the top of the hour, which is Algo Central, top of the hour. Nice. Beautiful move now. Coming off. Uh-oh, we dropping. Let's see. I gotta hand it to Trading Ticks, man. they've nailed this action this week. It's been pretty interesting to watch. It's freaking beautiful. NVIDIA to go up based on what you see. Based on what you see with Apple. No, it's just market correlation. When you're trading an index, I want to see market correlation. That's the downside of trading an index is you have to be privy to many different names. Right now, I'm seeing Microsoft. I'm seeing everything else sell. NVIDIA is a couple of smalls, but NVIDIA is not moving yet. So if I can get NVIDIA to drop alongside Apple and have some correlation, that's when you start getting the big flows in the indexes. Just a little bit of market awareness. Excuse me, great opportunities. ES just tapped low of the day, or a morning low to the penny. And NASDAQ is trying to. Patience here, going to be slow if it happens. ES did not. ES just tapped morning low just now. Yeah, ES just hit it a couple of minutes ago. That morning low was 52.94. 72. So what? 92. Oh, that's the overall low, but that's not the morning low. The morning low stops at 9:30. So, yeah, splitting hairs. Hey, big red. Now we're starting to make a move. Now we're starting to make a move. Interesting. What if this call is getting closed out? Let's take a look. Yeah, Nvidia dropped over, and there goes Nasdaq with it, along with Apple. Apple's still getting destroyed. A little pumping up on Apple there. Flow. Taco Bell tonight. There you go. Think they were positioning for tomorrow up there. All right, VIX is popping back up too. Finally, 14 right there. Now ES has put a new low of the day in on that move, and their 200 is 52.90. I've been using Bookmap for a couple weeks now. Till now I can't figure out where the market will go. Can you please explain briefly how to use it, or combine it with candlestick chart? Yeah. So, me being a VPA trader, I want to track volume. I want to track activity. I want to track liquidity, the whole shebang, the order book, and that's what this allows me to do. Right now, obviously, 52.87 is the highest participation on this chart. It's been more than anything, and even after they took off all this liquidity, 52.87 is still there, big time. So I would expect that to fill to some degree shortly. But to me, I want to track the skew. I want to track where the market is skewed. Is it balanced? Is it skewed? Which direction is it skewed? Where are there icebergs? And that can kind of give me a good direction of where the market wants to head. You take that, you turn it into with VPA, you can get a good idea of pivots in the market fluctuations. A little bit more red here, still following the morning range. We have icebergs coming on here with 52.87. Nasdaq is putting on 18.437 with 450. Yeah. If Nvidia comes off, yeah, we'll put another low in. Elon's finally purging bots on X. About freaking time. 3 for 3 today. Much easier with we kiss it. Oh yeah, keep it simple, baby. New low of the day on ES is 52.67. Inaccurate. That is the overnight low. Overnight low. Low of the day right now is currently 52.91. It was 52.92. Two different sessions. Am I to trade? Negative. I'm not trading after 12. No trades after 12. I'm now 4 for 4 in the week, hitting my daily goal. So I'm going to keep it rolling. There's no reason for me to trade. I'm good to go. Good to go, yeah, buddy. So, yesterday should give us a better picture, especially after non-farm, about this level of distribution we're seeing here on the daily charts. We have another top wick here to be determined whether or not we actually close this. The daily candle still has 3 hours left, 2 hours left, so it'll be interesting. ES is up at 52.94, and we have a disgusting NASDAQ chart, a slightly less disgusting ES chart, but we've got a good amount of catalysts coming up. We have non-farm, we have CPI. So what determined that? It'll be interesting to see. NASDAQ has got green. ES is still there. I've noticed into larger news cycles, we like to pump it up off early in the morning. Yeah, well, when you're looking for a change in trend, you typically want to see morning bullishness, later on bearishness. That's the whole overarching theme of a trend change from up to down. Now, we have kind of put a cap on the trend a couple of months ago. We've kind of stifled out, but in order to, that's what Linda Raschke talks about, because that's how the algorithms work. Morning green, afternoon red. That's indicative and repeated over time and time again. That's where you start to get the trend change back down. I made my daily gold trading incognito my boss right next to me. I like it. Hey, quick, put me on loudspeaker real quick. We need some selling volume. We do. ES is still top ticking on down. NASDAQ is still coming off. I'm just kind of keeping an eye. Apple's dropping. NVIDIA's back down. We've got a lot of imbalance down to 52.85 on ES. NASDAQ has down to 463. So if it does get silly in the afternoon, 463. 463. What was my trade this morning? What signal did you use? Shorting NASDAQ off that top wick because, for me, when I see green all throughout pre-market, that's a huge red flag. And I guarantee you, if you go back and back test, that's a trend that never gives up the entire night. It's going to reverse during the session. And that's exactly what happened. We didn't have a modicum of green during the session that held. Every single candle was sold from the time it opened, except for the little rally there in the afternoon. But I'd opened. So we opened, we went green, and then they hammered that thing all the way down, and that's where I wrote it. So my first target was when I see a bunch of green in pre-market that doesn't give up, I'm going to short the crap out of that at the open. And then once we see that big 15-minute inverse hammer close there, yeah, you wrote it down. Almost like the Dave Ramsey portion of the video where we can call in and that we hit our goals and we won't give it back and done for the day. Yeah. And then the same way, if we sell off the entire pre-market and get everybody bearish, I'm careful to short that. You bounce it at the open. Same concept. There's a reason why they're going to do that. That's why pre-market trading and session trading are completely different. You can't tie them together. You can't tie the levels together. They're completely different. You have to treat them differently because they act differently. They are differently. They have different volume. Apple's still sliding down. Another red candle. NVIDIA's coming off to 892. Is Biden talking? He could be. I don't know. It's pretty slow compared to last year. Oh, definitely it is. It definitely is. That's why I'm altering my rules. That big sweep liquidity that we got last year and the year before that obviously is not here at the moment. And that's because we have a ton of buyers exhaustion and selling. Your observations less on this pre-market is what set me up for the first red thing. Oh, nice side gig. Yeah. I would make a note of that, man. It's a very consistent play. I love when I come on the charts this morning and I see nothing but green or nothing but red on the pre-market because it's almost too easy to inverse it on the session. You just got to wait out the first 5 or 10 minutes or so of the first candle for them to shake it, and then they hit it. Still going red here. There we go. Still got some more red. There goes NVIDIA. There goes NVIDIA. Touching down low of the day. ES is coming off. 52.85 on ES. Apple's coming on down. NASDAQ's coming down. NVIDIA. And there is low of the, it's morning low there on NASDAQ. Wow. Boom. Been in for a while. Nice. So NVIDIA finally came off there too, along with Apple. So that's kind of what I was looking for right there. Apple came off and has been consistently coming off for a while, but NVIDIA took a little negotiating, and they finally came off and popped a new low of the day. Right there. Let's take a look. Google's coming off. Meta's not. Tesla's not. AVGO is. Right there. And NASDAQ just gave a little tap-tap-a-roo to the morning low. Beautiful stuff. So before we sign off here, because this will be the first hour, this will be the hour of the stream. Right now, we don't have any significant call buying. In fact, we have put buying. Let's go take a look at the GEX to see how they're fluctuating. It was a rejection of 52.50. Now they're starting to build 52.40 on down. But the flow right now is still dumping. Still dumping. NVIDIA is still rolling off here. Apple. Now, I would use the morning low as your pivot. So I don't want to get too hairy on bearishness here because we are at the morning low and we haven't been able to break out of the range in a hot minute. So if we do break down here, wait for confirmation to hold and then go. But ES is getting smoked right now. All of other tech, the bank sector, XLF is getting destroyed. And Apple is about to attack low of the day. Not there yet, but they're getting close. And NVIDIA just put a new low of the day in. But there's another double bottom wick off the morning low there on NASDAQ. So anyway, that's the hour. That's the finish up on Bookmap there. So I appreciate y'all hanging out. Great questions. A little bit of shake and bake there at the end. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Come and join us next week, Thursday, 1 p.m. for some more streaming. And until then, y'all be safe. Have fun with this market. I'm out. See you.